Hi, everybody. Today I am going to record a lesson for you today. I think it will make a lot of sense to you. It's going to really add on to what we did earlier in the week. So today's lesson, I hope you have your notebooks open to the next available white page. You put today's date, December 8th, 2021. And today's big lesson is going to be called Rethinking Initial Ideas. So we're going to be talking again about our central ideas and how the central idea will change over the course of the book. Now, I noticed yesterday that some of you might have gotten a little bit away from reading analytically. Maybe I want you to think about the work that you've been doing. I know people have been reading a lot. Some people have finished their book, and that's terrific. That is a great thing. However, you might want to, and I'm guessing most of you do, want to look back and think, have I been reading analytically? Have I been jotting the amount that I should? Because if you figure you've been reading for 7 days or 6 days, you should have probably about 20 jots, 20 specific notes with page numbers. If you don't, that's okay. It's a happy problem. It means you've been reading, maybe you've gotten a little lost in the text and enjoyed it and forgot that you're supposed to be stopping and tracking your thinking. So that's okay. When we have time in about 15 minutes, you're going to have time to work today. You can go back and fill in any of those chapters where you might have gotten carried away and not jotted enough to give yourself some really important, keep track of your important information. So again, something like 20, maybe 1 or 2 from each chapter. I don't know. It's going to vary from person to person. But some of you I did notice have gotten away from tracking your thinking work. So let's make sure we do that. That's your first job today when it's time. But what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate for you a couple times how your thinking works to take a central idea and how you have to make your central idea bigger and bigger as you read on. You can't make a central idea about chapter 1 and a central idea about chapter 2. You can't even do central idea about the first part of the book, central idea about the middle of the book. Your central idea goes across the whole big book. And that's hard work, and I know that, but you can do hard things. All right, so we're going to demonstrate today. I'm going to show you how to walk through it, and then you're going to give it a whirl this afternoon and this evening and see if you can come up with a better, stronger central idea that goes over everything you've read. So let me pull up my slideshow now. And I've got to go back to the beginning of it. All right. Don't look. Sorry, folks. I actually recorded this entire lesson and then it didn't record. Oh, so this is my second recording today. All right, today we are rethinking central ideas. So you may remember this picture. Whoops, see, not that one. This picture from a couple days ago. What we did is we said this is chapter 1, 2, 3. If these are the first 3 chapters of a book, what would we say is the umbrella or the central idea? And we agreed that a central idea might sound like this. Wild animals take care of their babies. Something like that, because every picture has babies and every picture has a wild animal. So now we're going to add, though, what if this book goes on? What if this book goes to chapters 4, 5, and 6? Then what would the central idea be? So I'm going to show you another picture, and I want you to take a long look at it and talk with your partner. Turn and talk. What are you noticing? And you have to be careful and look really carefully because your first ideas might not be your best. So look at this picture. What do you notice? If this is chapters 4, 5, and 6, what do you see here? Right? For those of you who may not be able to see it, if there's a glare, I'll tell you what. This is a peacock with a duckling. This is a cat with some kittens and a baby squirrel. And we have a dog with a baby goat. So pause for a second, the video, please, Mrs. Levine, and everybody turn and talk. Okay, so hopefully you were talking about like, well, if this is chapters 4, 5, and 6, I'd have to change my central idea to incorporate, it can't just be animals take care of their young, because is this dog Did this dog parent this goat or birth this goat? No. So it can't be their young. It would have to be something like animals will take care of their own young or the young of another species. Something like that. We've got to add, got to make sure we have babies or young in there, and we have to make sure that we add to our central idea. It has to be bigger now. It can't just be animals. It has to be they're not taking care of their young, they're taking care of the young of a different species perhaps as well. So now our central idea, as you can see, is bigger. So I'm now going to read to you. Let me see what we're doing here. Okay. Okay, so you may remember in our book that we had 3 chapters we've read so far. One talked about, we decided the central idea of the first chapter was fast food industry is so important. It is in every single aspect of American society. Remember, we talked about hospitals, it's in airports, it's in schools, it's in, right? It's in malls, it's everywhere. Then we talked about, the next time we talked about how McDonald's is the brothers created the throwaway industry, where every single thing that they use in their restaurants is meant to be thrown away, not washed and reused. And then the other day, Tuesday, we talked about soda and how they're marketing it to little kids to make money. So we had my central idea from those 3 would sound like this. In the fast food industry is in every part of American culture. It is very much responsible for creating our garbage culture and our single-use throwaway system. But even more importantly, it markets unhealthy food items to children. Today, I'm going to read on, and we're going to add on a 4th chapter. So we're going to have to make a bigger central idea. So I don't know how to pause this exactly. All right, so I'm going to read, and let's be on alert for anything we have to add. The nation has about 1 million migrant farmer workers and about 3.5 million fast food workers. Although picking strawberries is orders of magnitude more difficult than cooking hamburgers, both jobs are now filled by people who are generally young, unskilled, and willing to work long hours for low pay. Moreover, the turnover rates for both jobs are among the highest in the American economy. The annual turnover rate in the fast food industry is now about 300 to 400%. That the typical fast food worker quits or is fired every 3 to 4 months. The fast food industry pays the minimum wage to a higher proportion of its workers than any other American industry. Consequently, a low minimum wage has long been a crucial part of the fast food industry's business plan. So can you pause the video for a second and turn and tell somebody what jumps out at you about that? Pause it now. Okay, so maybe you just talked about that young workers, again, they're talking about young people and unskilled workers are working for poor pay and long hours in the fast food industry. So I would have to add that, right? So I added it right here. Young people, long hours, low wages. So here are my 3 from before. Now I've added this 4th important detail to my notes. And now I have to rewrite my central idea. I'm rethinking it and making it bigger to cover the whole piece of what I've read so far. So here's what I have. The fast food industry, part of every aspect of American society, contributes to wasting resources and profits off of making kids unhealthy, while at the same time taking advantage of young, vulnerable workers by giving them long hours and low pay. So why don't you take a second if you want to take a screenshot of that so you can see, and actually I'll make this box smaller. Take a screenshot. You can see how my thought process has changed, just like it did with the animals, in light of more information. So pause it. I'll pause the video here if you can, and take a screenshot if you wish to, so you can have this in your notes. Okay, so today what you're going to do, now that you have some time, is you're going to work on rethinking your original thing. So some of you, your step one will be go back and take more notes because you might have not taken enough as you went through the first read, which is okay. You can do that now. If you've got a good amount of notes, you've got 20 bullet points, you've really been taking good notes, then you can start reading on and rewriting your central idea now that you have more information. Is this easy work? It's not. And is it easy to write these long sentences? No. You're going to have to use the skills that you learned from Mrs. Farbman to write dependent clauses, some independent clauses, and use those commas to include because your sentences are going to need to have a lot in them. But it's better to write a long, globby sentence and then rewrite it to make it clearer. But make sure that anything that's super important is included. You're not going to include every detail in the whole book. You didn't hear me talking about how McDonald's used to be a car hop or anything like that, right? You don't have to include every detail that might be in your notes. You have to boil it down to what you really think is the essence of the book. And again, that's a hard skill, but you can do hard things, right? All right, Mrs. Levine, you can keep this up there in case they want to look at, so tonight they should focus, make sure their notes are really good, and they should be reworking their central idea. When this video is turned off, you should get right to work. You should either be reading and taking notes if you've got behind on that, or you should be reading on, taking new notes, and getting ready to write a new central idea today. All right, off you go.